Tonight, about 7:30, we're going to be talking Carlow football of all things. The manager, Turlock O'Brien's had a pretty interesting few weeks, including beating Kildare at the weekend, so we're going to get Turlock's thoughts on all of that. It's been less brilliant, it has to be said, for the Waterford hurlers. Dan Shanahan is going to join us just after 8 o'clock, I think, or thereabouts. Been a tough 7 days for Dan Shanahan and for Derek McGrath, and for the vast majority of that Waterford hurling team who were beaten by Clare at the weekend, and it's hard to see how they're going to dig themselves out. So Dan's going to be with us just after 8 o'clock to talk about that. South Africa has just appointed their first ever black captain for the upcoming series against England. Peter Dutoit, who's the editor at HuffPost in South Africa, is going to join us. That is around 8:15. The first black captain in 127 years. So we thought noteworthy and worthy of a bit of a conversation later on. We're going to talk NBA with Ryan Jones of Slam magazine. That's about 20 to 9, and after 9 for the football show we're going to talk about Raheem Sterling and his new tat. Luke Edwards of the Telegraph is going to be along to talk about that, and we might have a reaction to Ireland against France as well. We'll see how we're going. We're not 100% sure. If you're still with us and want to remain with us until 10 o'clock, let us know whether you want some France-Ireland conversation. I mean, there's not a huge appetite for it out there. We are live on News Talk, so welcome to our listeners on News Talk this evening, and streaming across as well, all Off the Ball social channels, and on the audio stream on offtheball.com. So we're everywhere. Will, welcome.
We are. Good evening, Adrian.
Kieran Cunningham of the Irish Daily Star, welcome to you. You're a bit disappointed with the old B team thing. It was more of a reflection of me than it was of you two. I mean, you're here on a pretty regular basis.
Like Z-listers are kind of witty or funny. You think that's not really.
B team is a bit too real.
B team is to the dig. That was a dig.
Like
we should walk, really.
We're all for something.
I should have known. But you're going to do a bit of a John Waters on it.
Throw down the pen, do a Doug fit.
Don't go.
Get that Carl in here. I mean, I should have known that. I hadn't fully appreciated why everybody was away, and then I sort of came in this afternoon and realised that there was literally nothing to talk about from a sporting context.
Okay, so no pressure for the next 3 hours.
So okay. Just outlined.
Fair enough.
To be fair, we've done well. The team have done well. We've got some good stuff coming up a bit later on. Raheem Sterling is the one that sort of exercised most people. It's been the kind of subject of conversation around the office today, and I think most people by now, I think we've tweeted them out anyway in case you have missed this. Raheem Sterling has got a tat of a machine gun on his right calf, outer calf, so the point of the gun pointed down towards his foot, the butt of the gun pointing up towards his knee. And I mean, the voice of moral outrage was hot on the front page this morning of the Sun to say that they'd dug up some quotes from somebody or other to say that this was the anti-gun lobbyists were outraged by this whole thing, and he was promoting gun crime. But of course nobody really bothered to ask Raheem why he had done this, which has since materialised and sort of puts everybody back in their box a little bit.
It's bizarre, not just because of this particular story, which is a non-story anyway, but it's because it's part of a pattern. Like I can't think of anyone who's been singled out like this. And some people say, he's been singled out because he's black and he's black working class kid or something. But there's been a lot of black working class kids that played for England from similar backgrounds, and they haven't been treated like this. Like, he's been vilified for shopping in Primark because people say he's too cheap. And then if he buys something expensive, he's vilified for that. He was vilified for buying a house for his mother, but his father's passed away. And you go, like, why has this kid been treated like this? Like, he is a very young man, and I think it's completely disgraceful. And at the Football Writers Association dinner a few weeks ago, Jurgen Klopp sent a speech. I don't know if he was there in person or he sent along the speech. He wrote a speech, but it was read out at the night. But it was very well expressed. But he started off paying tribute to Alex Ferguson, who just had his illness, and going into Mo Salah, etc. But then there was really interesting stuff at the end. He said, "This is a message for all the journalists here. You're all going to the World Cup. I don't want anyone to type out the word 1966 and stop pressuring these guys and stop." To get behind them in the proper way, because there is this bizarre thing with England that they hype up their team and then they seem to just go for the jugular once the tournament is coming up. And the amount of players who've written autobiographies in the last few years, England players, likes of Stephen Gerrard, Jamie Carragher, there was a couple others, a couple of the United guys, but they said they were relieved when they retired. They said it was found as so much pressure and it wasn't enjoyable. And there's a lot of talk this week that Gareth Southgate has set up a camp that's deliberately been very relaxed. And then this stuff comes out. And it's just...
You don't believe it's race related?
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't want to imply, but it's just so odd.
It's very personal on Raheem Sterling as well. Like, this actually goes back to the week after Euro 2016. It's that long that the Sun have been running very unusual articles about Raheem Sterling. The one straight after,
but it's not just the Sun, like the Daily Mail in the UK as well. Yeah,
the diamonds one about his apparently he got a bathroom put in for his mother, which had diamonds inset into it, and they were saying he should be mourning our defeat against Iceland and not splashing the cash like this. There was then some articles about the fact that you say he was spending cheaply, and I think the one that really scraped the barrel was a few weeks ago after the Football Writers, where he was up for Young Player of the Year. They actually did a piece on the fact he had breakfast the morning after.
Yeah.
Which is just very, very
But like
bizarre.
Damien Delaney from Cork, Crystal Palace and Ireland has a tattoo with a gun. I think it was a clown with a gun or something. Alberto Moreno, Liverpool, has a tattoo with gun. I haven't seen any articles about them.
Which may suggest the racial point, obviously, and it doesn't the reality of it is.
But there's been a lot of other black players from his background that haven't been treated. I don't understand why he's been singled out. Like, it is very odd that he's been singled out to this extent. And like, you do get this nonsense of Liverpool fans boo him every time they've played him, every time he touches the ball, because he went for bigger wages and gone to a club that probably will compete for silverware more consistently. But sure, he joined Liverpool from QPR for bigger wages and to join a club that would be more competitive. So what's the logic there? Like, why is this kid being treated this way?
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's the rush to rage, right? It's the sort of rush to judgment on it. It's the rush to get that picture out there on the front pages today. It's the rush to try and find a quote from somebody who supports a narrative around the story that is clearly not the case. And
you see the way people jump on
that
it.
Nobody took a second to go, here, can you tell us what it's about? And so it's the rationale here as Raheem Sterling. Look, because I think you can look at it and go, geez, I'm not sure about that. You can have that sharp intake of breath when you look at it first. I think you're entitled to do that. You're entitled ultimately, I guess, to react to whatever the hell way you want to. But certainly on first viewing, you can look at it and think, you can have that sharp intake of breath. And then you actually just start to understand some of the rationale behind it. His dad was killed by gun crime when he was a kid. So he says that the reminder of it, for those watching us on stream, you can see some of the social posts here. When I was 2, he says, my father died from being gunned down to death. I made a promise to myself that I would never touch a gun in my life. I shoot with my right foot, so it is a deeper meaning. Still unfinished, he says. So that sort of sums it up. And like, if people bother to ask him what this means and like the deep meaning that has, this is not some sort of a flippant thing that he's done to try and make some sort of greater point, or as I've seen some Piers Morgan potentially. No, we shouldn't.
Well, he's been driving it big time, and he's very influential on social media.
Of players sort of pre-big tournaments look to bring this spotlight on themselves almost, which is frankly and utterly ridiculous. Now, we shouldn't let's not make a great habit of quoting Piers Morgan.
But I did see on Good Morning Great Britain this morning, they were actually claiming he should be dropped from the squad.
Yeah, but I was just going to bring this up, and that's Good Morning Britain had a poll and said, do you think he should be dropped from the squad, or should he be dropped from the squad, or should he be let go, allowed to have this tattoo? Which side are you on? And you just think you're on the side of sanity. Like, what are you on about, you fools? Like, Piers Morgan has been driving this all day, and he's been, like, Gary Lineker has been challenging Piers Morgan, but like, Piers Morgan's very influential, and you're going, why are these? There's also this judgmental streak thing. Like, we see it all the time. We've seen it over the campaign that was going on over the 8th Amendment last week. The people are so judgmental of others. Like, it's nobody's business what kind of tattoo he has. No matter what he's got tattooed in his body, it's nobody's business. It's
just a shame that nobody bothers to point that out, in that process that results in his leg being on the front page of the Sun and people saying he should be taken out of the squad, and a Good Morning Britain that they're saying get him out. It's a shame that nobody along that line goes, listen, this is actually none of our business.
Yeah, but imagine, in the future, do they want people to line up in their shorts and have their body art inspected to see if it passes the moral arbiters are happy with this?
I was interested just to tease out the racial element for no other reason that, I don't know if there is a set answer to it. I think we'd have to sort of, grill the people who are involved that we've just been speaking about. But I do remember a time where Steve Stone was the future of English football. This guy is going to be the future of English football, and they built this guy up so much. He was in Pele was in the shade. He was that good, and obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening now who tend to be a greater narrative.
Well, cheering for him.
I think
Bobby Robson and the players were slaughtered all through that tour, on the build-up to that tournament and all through it by the English press, up until the Germany game, and then they nearly got to the final, were very unlucky. And you just, like, against the odds, he did, like, there was no... Like, he was, his personal life there was stuff thrown around. Like, his wife, his widow now, is interviewed with this Bobby Robson about how hard it was for the family. And, you know, he agreed to take a job with PSV Eindhoven after the World Cup because things were just getting so fraudy to get out of there. But it's just, they don't see, this does seem to be a pattern with the UK press. I wouldn't be vilifying the Sun or the Daily Mail here. Their editions, I don't think they were. I don't think they ran the stuff even. No. Yeah, but they across the water, it's got this curious.
Look. It's a different aspect of it, but it's this obsession with celebrity culture, and that's got to have a life. Celebrity culture. I mean, it's got to have legs all the time. Right, so it's the royal wedding the other week. Like, people are utterly obsessed with it, and I couldn't care less if you are, you aren't. Enjoy it, don't enjoy it. Engage, don't engage. Do what the hell you want to do. But it's obviously a constant obsession with that. I believe this is just another. They use sport in this context by way of another sort of you know, you split the nation. You're over here. The Great Britain. Good morning, Britain. Paul, that's exactly it. You're over here, you're over there, you split the nation, you cause a big ruckus, and ultimately everybody's tuned into that show and everybody's buying that newspaper, and away we go. Yeah,
it mightn't help him that his name is Raheem.
I think that's also a factor,
in UK, that's been honest.
Yeah, I think that's also a factor. So look, that's it. Get your thoughts into us on the hashtag OTBAM or 53106 if you want to tweet into us, or if you're watching the Facebook post page or on YouTube or any of that good stuff. Get your comments coming into us. There's also been other slanderous stuff that's been issued across OTB AM this week in relation to myself, so we might get to that at some point. Salacious, lacking in journalistic integrity will be how I would describe it.
Do you really think they're the best team ever, though?
We might get to that. We might get to that a little bit later on, is the point I'm about to make there, Will. In fact, I'd say we will get to it a bit later on. Let's just make that promise. We are here with Air. I should remind you, the home of Air Sport. Get amazing live sporting content free with Air Broadband. So keep your comments coming into us. Will, you're going to kick us off with some tennis news?
Yeah, Serena Williams into the French Open second round, Adrian, after winning her first Grand Slam match since returning to the sport. Hadn't played since January of 2017. The former world number one beat the Czech Republic's Kristina Pliskova today. Straight sets at Roland Garros, 7-6, 6-4, but a difficult enough match. It's her first go at one of the big four events since becoming a mum last spring as well. And Williams said after the match she's delighted just to be up and running with a victory.
She played really, really well. I don't know how many aces I was looking towards into the match. Like, for every ace, there's more money, so donate it. I think it's donated to a good cause, so I was thinking, wow, the both of us were able to help a lot. But yeah, it was 2 years. It's been a really long time, but I trained really hard on the clay, and I feel good. I feel like, you know, I'm just happy to have won a match here, so I'm just taking it a day at a time.
The 23-time Grand Slam singles winner will now face Australia's Ashley Barty in 2 days' time. The defending men's champion Rafa Nadal, he lost his day's break because of the rain last night. He came through his first round match, having led by 2 sets overnight. The Spaniard took the third set this afternoon in what was a marathon tiebreak, 11-10 in the end, against Italy's Simone Bolelli. Nadal, who is chasing his 11th title at Roland Garros, says he's come through a stiff test.
Every round is difficult. Today I played against Simone, that he played so aggressive, so he had so many chances in the third. But you know, as always, first rounds is important to win. I am through. That's important. A good test for me. I suffered. I go through tough moments, and that is important for the future.
We lost Stan Wawrinka yesterday, but no great shocks today. The men's third seed Marin Cilic going through in straight sets. 2016 women's champion Garbi Muguruza also had no problems. Maria Sharapova, two-time winner previously at the French Open, got a big response afterwards, which she doesn't always do at the slams.
Right.
But she just about got through after a battling performance, and maybe endeared herself to the crowd at Roland Garros because of that as well. So she's through now. 2 days' time she'll be back out in the second round as well.
Sharapova got the good reception.
Yeah.
And we all like to see that, don't we, right? Like the sort of, you know, person who was shunned from the sport, and now she's back after a little breather. And
it's kind of weird. US Open last year didn't get a good response. Did in Australia for whatever reason. She didn't play last year in France because remember they didn't give her the wild card, so she's back now, trying to work her way through. And both herself and Serena Williams, because of their seeding situation, are going to have to come through some very tough matches. It's going to be 7 matches against seeded opponents probably for Williams to get to the final.
Well, look, more luck to them, Will. That's my luck, my outlook on this thing. Few texts in on the Raheem Sterling situation. The ex-Liverpool players in the media, is the point you made, Kieran. Ex-Liverpool players in the media absolutely slated Sterling when he left Liverpool and really dictated the narrative against him. That definitely didn't help Sterling, says Jim in Kerry. Thanks for the text, Jim. Sterling is being singled out by the media because Liverpool FC and its journalist supporters dominate the media, says this.
Well, I don't think there's much connection between the Sun and Liverpool FC.
There really is not. Could it be the tabloids lining up someone to blame for England's failing at the World Cup? I think that's probably somewhere along the right track. Plenty more coming in there as well. This one from Gary in Cork. I agree the media are so out of order with Raheem. They had a pic of him on holidays in the Caribbean with the headline Prem Rat of the Caribbean instead of Pirates of the Caribbean, says Gary in Cork. Hard to fathom, needless to say. We'll bring you more of those texts and keep the comments coming into us as well. You've got some GA news for us, Will?
Yeah, the dates, venues and throw-in times, bar one of the games for the first round of the All-Ireland football qualifiers have now been confirmed. Mayo's match at Limerick will have a 6 p.m. throw-in time at the Gaelic grounds on Saturday week. Crucially, as things stand as well, I know we've had the TV debate, none of these games are down for TV coverage currently.
Oh, currently?
So it looks like hurling is...
Well, that'll probably change, right?
There is Munster hurling Sky as well.
Oh, really? Because Sky start that weekend, or did they start this weekend?
They start this weekend if hurling...
We're not seriously suggesting that Mayo and Limerick
they might pick up Mayo Limerick.
I mean, you'd be astonished.
I just noticed when the list came out, usually you see a kind of a 5 and a 7, and they're usually the televised games.
Yeah.
This time around, a lot of kind of 6 p.m. throw-ins and afternoons on the Saturday. So worth keeping an eye on what happens over the next couple of days on that, because Sky are definitely showing hurling from Munster that week.
The only thing is it's likely going to be a non-event because Limerick seem to be in a very bad way. So.
But I mean, people want to see Mayo, don't they? We need to get behind the bandwagon again, Kieran, and we need to build them up. I don't know if you've heard this story before, but build them up into a team that maybe they're not quite, and then shoot them. Maybe they are, and take the legs from under them after that. We shall see. I expect we'll see them on the TV. The Mayo boss Stephen Rothschild was on OTB AM this morning as well, and he says they need to put their Connacht quarter-final loss against Galway behind them very quickly indeed.
Look, the reality is that, any of the teams that were in the draw this morning, they're all starting from the same point. They're all after coming off a disappointing performance or result in the provincial championship. So, I'm sure there'll be plenty of external noise saying Mayo will be favourites, but that was the same against Derry last year and Fermanagh the year before, and we struggled over them games because, when you're so invested in the provincial championship and you're really trying to edge out that winning performance, and that your confidence takes a little bit of goes on a little bit of shaky ground, and so that's the one thing about the qualifiers as well that allows you to try and build that up. So you're somewhere in between. Logistically, it's good. You didn't have to go to Waterford, or up to Antrim, or maybe take a flight to London. So them elements are better. But it's going to be a tricky game. I have absolutely no doubt.
Yeah, Stephen Rochford there, and the sartorial sense, leaving the two lads in the shade, it has to be said, they look like an absolute shambles. And any opportunity to abuse the two of them, I'm going to take up as we can over the course of the evening. But interesting to hear from Stephen Rochford. The logistics one was not a point that I think people overly put a huge amount of stock in, so it was interesting to hear him talk about the fact that, well, Limerick's only up the road, we know where it is, it's not London, it's not Antrim. I don't know, I was trying to imply some sort of a slight on Limerick behind it all, that, we're not thinking to, maybe I'm
you're overthinking this, or overthinking this too much.
Fair enough. What else have we got, Will?
Well, those other qualifiers then, Wicklow and Cavan will meet in Aughrim at the same time. That's 6 p.m. on the Saturday the 9th, as will Offaly and Antrim in Tullamore. Wexford and Waterford, their first ever meeting head-to-head at Wexford Park at 2 o'clock on the Saturday. Owen Begg has been named as the venue for the match between Derry and Kildare, which will start at 3 p.m. Navan will host the match between Meath and Tyrone, but no start time for that as yet. The only game on the Sunday is the match between London and Louth in the British capital, and that'll take place at 2 p.m. on the Sunday. As you mentioned, you've Dan Shanahan on the show later on. Waterford facing a serious injury crisis ahead of Sunday's Munster Senior Hurling Championship match against Tipperary. Manager Derek McGrath has confirmed that defenders Tadhg de Burke and Barry Coughlin have both been ruled out for a number of months. De Burke broke his collarbone in last weekend's loss to Clare, while Coughlin has suffered 3 broken bones in his hand. Noel Connors, Maurice Shanahan are also major doubts for this weekend, with back and groin problems respectively, while the Daysha are hoping that Austin Gleeson and Pádraig Mahoney will recover in time, but both are doubts as well.
That's kind of the end of Waterford for the year, Kieran?
You would think so. It's going to be. I hope not, because they bring so much.
Yeah.
They bring so much to the championship every year, I think, when they get in a run. But it's going to be very difficult. they clearly targeted. It was all about the championship this year, because more than any other team, they seemed to. Like from week to week, there was a completely different 15 going out in the league. That they weren't particularly bothered about the league. There was all, after losing the final last year, it was all getting right for Munster campaign. They lost home advantage for Munster because the Walsh Park couldn't get up to speed, and now this injury crisis.
That must be a huge frustration for them.
Yeah,
as well, like.
absolutely. And like, it does look like, from by all accounts, it's going to be Derek McGrath's last year. So it's a pretty grim way to be going. I hope there's another kick in them, but it's going to be tough.
It's hard to see how you'd have the stomach for it ultimately after all that. Like, you build up this thing over the last, how long has he been there? Is it 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been? And he's put all this plan in place, and you've you look at everything they've achieved, the success that they've had, and I mean that in the broadest sense. And just to come a cropper on something so, I mean, small in a lot of ways. It's just a whole bunch of injuries, and like they're looking at, Tyke de Burke is out, and then so Dara Fives normally goes back into that position. And
but it's key
out,
so often. If you go through the teams that win the All Irelands year after year, it's really striking how they're generally injury free to the everybody gets 1 or 2 injuries, but they generally have a fairly good run
really,
of it.
What they're in the middle of. Yeah,
injuries are probably worse this year as well, just because of the nature of the round robin series as well.
Yeah.
Say they had lost the first round against Clare, then they had to wait a month for the qualifiers.
Well,
some of these guys will be back.
Yeah, absolutely, because I was at Dublin Kilkenny's first game, and Conall Keaney was brilliant, but he got injured, and that's him gone for a couple of weeks, a couple of games.
They always make the point that after a defeat it's great to get back in the pitch as soon as you can. That is clearly not the case with Waterford. We're going to hear from Dan Shannon a little bit later on the show to get the thoughts from Waterford. But the big story, I mean, I did say that we were all talking about Raheem Sterling around the office, Will, but I mean, really, the Republic of Ireland versus France kind of dominated conversation for a lot of the day.
One to forget last night. Sean Williams since has left the Republic of Ireland squad to prepare for his wedding. The Millwall midfielder made his debut in last night's 2-0 defeat to France in Paris. Derek Williams and Graham Burke also getting on for their first caps last night. John O'Shea has linked up with the squad ahead of his 118th and final cap against the USA at the most curious kick-off time this Saturday of 8 minutes past 8. Former Chelsea midfielder Frank Lampard, meanwhile, is said to be closing in on a deal to become the new manager at Derby County. The Rams are looking for a new boss after Gary Rowett left the club to join Stoke City last week. The Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, meanwhile, says he signed a fantastic player and an equally fantastic person in Fabinho. It looks like he's going to wear the 99 shirt at Liverpool next year as well.
Oh God.
The Brazil midfielder is set to complete his move from Monaco on the 1st of July for a fee that'll be worth around €50 million all in. He's agreed what the club have called a long-term contract, and the length of that hasn't been revealed yet either. Mo Salah is on his way to Spain as well to have treatment on that shoulder injury as he attempts to get fit in time for the World Cup for Egypt. The Liverpool forward was forced off in the first half of their Champions League defeat.
That Liverpool move for Fabinho is remarkable because nothing is kept quiet these days, and a tweet went up from a couple of the Liverpool-based journalists yesterday evening, and then within a few minutes it was confirmed, and it turned out they'd been negotiating with him since February, and all the big clubs around Europe had been after him, but how they kept it quiet, because it really hasn't been the Liverpool way the last few years. They've been like, they were gazumped for Willian when they were talking about how they had Willian wrapped up. Dele Alli, it looked like they were going to get, and they messed up at the end. And even going back years ago, they have a real habit of messing up transfers. Like, they had people. A lot of people don't realise that Cristiano. They were the first club to move for Cristiano Ronaldo. They spotted him at the Toulon Under-20 tournament, and he was said that he was. There's a Liverpool Echo interview with a young Ronaldo, and he said he loved Michael Owen, he'd love to play for Liverpool, and they wouldn't pay the extra $250,000 that Sporting Lisbon wanted. And 6 months later, United came in for him. But so suddenly Liverpool's.
I mean, in
all
hindsight,
these years on, Liverpool seem to have cut their act together. So.
Hindsight can be misleading now, to be fair, and it can seem idiotic, but I mean it's incredible.
But he was really highly rated at the time. Like, it wasn't. I remember when he joined United, it wasn't like he was a nobody. People were saying, "No, this guy is going to be something." But the fact that they couldn't close the deal, but
they weren't sure at that point whether he was going to be Nani. That's the thing, isn't it?
No, absolutely, yeah. No, nobody could have envisaged he become what he became. No, that's true.
There was United were after him, Atletico Madrid were after him. So I mean, that's. I suppose Liverpool fans are scrapping around for.
City were very keen on him as well.
Were they too? Yeah. More text in here on the Raheem Sterling thing. Should we not blame the idiots who buy the likes of the Sun, the Daily Mail, etc., on a regular basis, knowing full well what their content is utter rubbish? Is this texter? Look how the media have treated Gaza. It's not racial, says Bren. It's just the way the Brits are. I mean,
sounds slightly racial.
Kind of racial. Lads, the Sterling tattoo is just the latest episode of the British tabloid media or gutter press resorting to the lowest common denominator by sensationalising, I guess he means, a story to create hype and sell newspapers. They've been doing it for 30 or 40 years. Regrettable, but an unfortunate fact of life, says Dinny in Cork. So I mean, they're pretty people are pretty damning, need to say, of the fact that this story was carried in the Sun. I think that's a reasonable enough viewpoint. Keep your text and your comments coming into us on that. What else have you got for us, Will? You have a couple of minutes?
Well, the Ireland captain, Quillan Doris, has taken the team for his captain's run ahead of tomorrow's Under-20 Rugby World Championship opener. They're playing the host France in Perpignan. Coach Noel McGrath has handed first caps to wingers Tom Roach and Dan Hurley, and also centre Peter Sylvester. There are 9 survivors from Ireland's loss, 34 points to 24, to the same opposition in the Six Nations back in February. The Saracens director of rugby, Mark McCall, the former Ulster coach, has signed a new contract with the club after leading them to the Aviva Premiership title when they beat Exeter at the weekend. Declan Kidney will be coming back to his home city of Cork this summer. His London Irish side are set to take on Munster in a pre-season friendly at Musgrave Park. Munster will also be playing Exeter at the same venue. The game against London Irish on Friday, August 17th, an Exeter game just a week later on August 24th. And Team Ireland have landed 4 gold medals today at the European Schoolboy and Schoolgirls Boxing Championships in Bulgaria. There's 2 more Irish boxers in the ring this evening, and they also picked up 2 silvers as well. So they're guaranteed to bring home tomorrow 14 medals in all, and one of those silvers could well be upgraded to a gold tonight, Adrian.
All right. I sent a tweet over the weekend, Kieran. I was at the Aviva Stadium and made the point that Leinster are potentially
the best team ever in any sport ever.
Better than Brazil 1970 and Barcelona.
I mean, you could definitely misinterpret it in that way, as our good colleagues and hardcore journalists on OTB AM have done. You could definitely misrepresent it in that way, but what clearly I was making the point that we is, in an Irish context, possibly the greatest team we've ever had. This Leinster team.
In any sport?
Yeah.
Including national teams?
Well, there are obviously unfair weights here in terms of, I would include national teams in that, yeah. I mean, in terms of the success they've had, there are slightly unfair weights because you almost can't include any GAA team to begin with.
Of course.
It's
just impossible to gauge because if you look at the level of competition, like the Leinster obviously had done brilliantly and had an incredible season, but you know they're playing teams from France, UK, Italy, whereas the Ireland soccer team are playing teams from all over the world that got to the quarterfinals of the world. So how do you rank them against each other? I don't know how you do that.
It's the impossible debate, right? Yeah. But it's the level of success they've had over a consistent basis. It's the their approach to the sport. That's like, you look at the Jordan Larmour try the other day, like the types of scores they're scoring. Yeah. Like in the football, you talk about the football context, it's Brazil style stuff. They're just
they are fantastic. No, I wouldn't argue that, but I think they're always impossible debates. Like these debates over Ireland's greatest sports person. How do you place a boxer against a rugby player, against a GA player, against an athlete, against a snooker player?
What I would say is, when I said in any sport, possibly, there is obviously a window there to...
but you were rightly hammered for your nonsense.
No, I mean, I think we've come to the conclusion that the BS that appears on OTB AM on a fairly regular basis, not a Friday, mind you, Kieran.
Oh, yeah, Fridays are good. I watch Fridays.
Has been heightened now. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the rest of the days. I mean, that's so be it. Right, great competition for you all this week. Every day this week we're teaming up with Expert Electric to give you the chance to win a brand new LG 49-inch TV just in time to watch all your World Cup goodness on. And you can catch OTB on it as well on a Friday morning. Expert Electrical are Ireland's largest electrical retailer with 67 stores nationwide, all bringing you the latest appliances and tech products. You can pick up their new brochure from the 1st of June with each including a free World Cup planner and opportunities to win some great prizes. So to be with the chance of bagging your new 49-inch LG TV, simply identify tonight's mystery voice, who was asked here if he's looking forward to Kevin Kilbane's World Cup commentaries on the BBC.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it, I'll be watching that TV and as much as I can.
Yeah, give him one more spin there.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it, I'll be watching that TV and as much as I can.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think you're going to get that one. Send us in your text to 53106, I think is the format there. We're going to pick a winner for you. It's every day this week, teaming up with Expert Electrical to give you the chance to win yourself a nice, big, shiny new TV. Kieran, thanks for the minute. Will, thanks for the minute. We're going to hear more from both of you in just a little bit. But coming up, it's kind of the story of the GAA Championship so far. It's Carlow football and its manager, Turlough O'Brien. We'll see you in a minute.
Off the Ball on Newstalk
in association with Air. Watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League game on the Air Sport Pack.
The Moncrief Show is on the road again, and this time we're coming to beautiful Killarney. We're going to kick off your weekend with a special 2 hours of movies and booze from the Great Southern in Killarney, where we'll be tasting some lovely craft beers for the June bank holiday weekend. Join us in the audience to taste some lovely beers, have good food, enjoy some great music and everything else Movies and Booze has to offer. For